Hey everyone, welcome to Crepe Myrtle Row. My name is Lisa. Today's video, I'm going to show you how I put this Christmas village together. It's not very difficult, but there are some tips and tricks I can tell you to make it a lot easier than just having a bunch of plugs everywhere. So if that is something y'all would be interested in watching, then just stay tuned. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do, I've got a blank slate here. I have dusted everything, and to save me a little bit of time, I took a picture last year of how I had it laid out. And this just helps me, not to say that I have to do it exactly like that, but it just helps save some time to know what actually fit. So that I'm not just like wasting time of moving things around and not liking them. I really liked it last year, so why not repeat it? The only thing is, I have bought some new villages that I have thrifted throughout the year, and I want to try to use those. So there's a few pieces in there that I have used in the past that I might skip this year and use some of my new pieces instead. But I just have so many of them. And my light kit, let me get it and show you how it works. So the way I put my villages together is I bought these off of Amazon, and they have 5 lights on one string. I have plug-ins right in each corner back here on each shelf that I can plug these. So I can put 5 houses across there. I also took the bulbs that came with these, just regular bulbs. I took those out and I bought LED bulbs. That way I know they're not going to get hot, because y'all, when I'm home during the day, I'm going to have my Christmas burning all day long. So I try to replace just about everything I can that with the LED bulbs. That's the first thing I do, is buy those. And I don't remember what I paid for them, but they were not expensive at all. You just look up, you know, light cords for Christmas villages, I think. So I put those on each one. The next thing I want to point out that I do is, if you see in this picture, you see how there's like a backdrop back there that looks like it's Starry Night? Well, I make that because I don't want to put something on my wood here, because sometimes I like it plain. So I make my own. So these are foam boards, and you can see where I tape them together. I just buy the cheap foam board from Dollar Tree, and I measured my shelves, and then I went and figured out how much foam board I would need. You know, like that's one width, but then I had to cut it down, and then I had 2. There was one here, I forget, it might be this first one here. I think it might be, yeah, this is the very bottom one. I have to notch out because there's like a shelf edge around there. So, but this one was narrow enough that I was able to use one board to get both pieces, like here, and then there was still enough of the board to put here. And then I just tape them on. I cut it a little bit bigger than my material. And I mean, my board, I cut the material bigger. And then I just take clear packing tape and I just tape it on all over. This one's kind of loose because I kind of have to manipulate it around that curve. I may try to tape that this year a little better. But then I have another one that has the notches cut out. And that's where my plug-ins are, on those corners that I was telling you about. I had to notch out for those. But again, it's just taped. I tape the boards together on both sides. So, but that gives them flexible, because to get under this piece, I have to be able to like bend it like this and then put it up in there. But all 3 are a different size, because that's my shelves. Now this shelf is adjustable, but that's the best spot for it. So that's just where I've always left it. And that's how I've got these done. Now, y'all, I've done these for several different projects before. I've got some in a red and white gingham check. I've got some that are yellow with like honeybees on them. So it's the easy way. If you make them tight, like snug, they're kind of just like push in and they kind of stay in. I think there was one of these that's a little bit wants to fall, but once the villages are in there, it holds it up. So that's an easy way to get you a colored backdrop without having to do anything like paint or put, I know you could spray some adhesive on there, even the removable kind, and just put cloth right on it. But you take a chance of messing up your wood, and I don't want to do that because I do like to have the wood by itself. So I'm going to get started on putting these in. Now, this is where I'm talking about I have to bend. You can't hardly see it there, but I have to bend it, and then I just slide it into place. And you hear that sound? That's because it's a tight fit, and it's just pushing it in place. Move my picture here, and then my next one. And again, I have the notch for this piece, but I have to bend it. And the other reason I have to bend is see how this edge, this has about, I'm going to guess that's about 1.5 inches overlap beyond the seam. So you got to be able to get in behind that. If you don't have that kind of problem with your shelves, then you probably just lay them straight in there. Yeah, this particular one, my very top one, I got a little crooked cutting it because right in the center, there's a little gap about like this that you can see the wood, but you don't really see it because by the time my village is in there, you barely see the back. But that puts that in there, and let me bring the camera over here where you can kind of see what I'm talking about with these plug-ins. I don't know if you can see it there good. Okay, this is what I was talking about. I have a plug-in. My husband took a Sawzall, I think it is. It's one that you can like cut square areas out of. He made this cord for me. He took a existing drop cord. So the very end, the plug-in end is up on the very top shelf. And then he found these type of plugs that you snap on anywhere up and down that drop cord you want to. There's like this piece and there's a piece on the back. And when you push them together clamp them over your existing cord, it creates a plug. But he created that because I told him that I wanted plug-ins. And originally I thought just cut me a hole and I'll run 3 separate drop cords, for these shelves up through there. And he's like, I can make this where it's one piece and you don't have to do that. So that's what he did for me on each corner. So that's how I'm able to have lights in there. I will see if he can find a link for those parts, and in case you're interested in trying to make your own and putting them in the positions you need them for your shelves. But now I'm going to take and put my stuff on top. I'm going to do that off camera because I have to get up on a ladder and I don't want to put my tripod up that high because it kind of gets wobbly. So I'll do the very top off camera and then we'll be back to see what the other looks like. Okay, I thought I would share now. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit so you can get a better view of it. So got the top set up. I have to use books. Like I got those on some books. That one back there on books. And what I had to do is I used one of those light cords that can hold 5. So there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that can go on that light cord. This is about the spacing. Like I would like to move that one over a little bit, but it's kind of tied to where these two can be, because of the space in between them. I've got that one and that one on a drop cord. and then that one plugged in. So the drop cord that comes up from the bottom that my husband had, maybe it's 3 plugs on it. So I was able to do that, this set, and I think that's all I did on those. I did these and that one on them, and then I had the drop cord on it, and I got the other ones on it. But that's how I kind of get it started. And then next, I'm just going to go through and add the blanket of snow stuff just to kind of help hide the cords. I might on this top one, because I don't know if I have enough to do all of my shelves with the snow I just bought. It's like you roll it out, it's like a sheet of snow stuff. I have some of that's more like the buffalo snow. I think I might just take it and break off individual pieces to stuff in here where I need to hide, you know, like the books and all, because this is so up high. I'll show you once you're down, you don't really, this is at my eye level. You're not going to see much of what's up there. So I think that's all I'm going to do is just use a little bit of that to hide, because when you come back, you know, from the other side of the room, you might see it. So that was what I'm going to work on next. Okay, so this is how I just now stuffed that snow. Lord, if I ever seen this much snow, I'd move off and leave. I know some of y'all probably deal with this yearly, having big old piles of snow. We don't get snow around here in South Carolina that often. Haven't had it in 2 or 3 years now. But I just lay that in, just trying to hide the books and fill in the spaces. And then from down at the bottom, you're not going to see like this piece or all that. That's what I use to hook garlands on. But that is the very top layer. Okay, I've got the top shelf done, and I'm going to start doing the bottom shelf. And what I do is I'll lay these out, and then I plug up my lights and start putting them in. That way I can get my spacing right. Now some of these, like this one, plugs in from the bottom, which makes it a little bit more aggravating because of the way the cords have to go. But then I can hide everything back here in the back. And I don't know if you can see where this keeps falling down, but that's where I can put that one, press it up against there. But now, see, that puts this cord kind of short, but it plugs in the back. So that makes it really easy to have that smaller spacing, and you can just turn it around. Now I could put some of these on books to make them at different heights, but the shelves are not that deep, so I don't really have to worry about it with these as much as I do up there on the top, because that top makes it harder to see them if you just had them all flat like I do on these shelves. So I'm just gonna, here's another one that plugs in from the bottom, which is great because this is the last one, so it makes it easier to pull that cord out. And these are all kinds of different brands. I don't, you know, some people only collect Department 56 or the Lee Max or whatever. These are a little bit of everything, because I would say the majority of these were thrifted. There's a few that I've had. This post office here, there's a house back here. There's several that many years ago, when I decided I wanted to start collecting these, that my parents bought me one year for Christmas. And I think they are the Lee Max brand. But the rest of them, there's just all, I've got some that are, let's see, what is this one? Well, that one's Lee Max. There was one, this is a Lefton, so it's an antique one. But that's basically what I do, is I get those put in place like I want them, and then I'm going to take the snow. Let me show you. So this year, instead of putting the big fluffy snow up here, I'm going to use this that I found at Walmart. And it is just like a sheet of the snow stuff. Now, this one has the glitter on it, which I do like because the lights kind of pick up on it, gives it some dimension, but it is kind of messy. But if you didn't like it, you could turn it over and just have the side that doesn't have it on it. This is kind of wide. These come, let's see here, it's 36 by 60 inches. I don't need that, you know, these shelves aren't that wide. The length is perfect. I'm going to cut them in half, and then that'll get me 2 shelves on this. The reason I didn't use this up on the very top is because of how high I had to do the books. It would have kind of looked funny. I think that fluffy snow did better up there. And then once I get all of the villages in place, then I'll go back and put my little accessories like my trees and the little people and stuff like that. So now I'm just going to continue on. I'll speed it up so y'all can watch it that way. Alright, what I did here is just kind of fold under the edge of that and let it be a little puffy there. Just so it's just not that straight edge. And some of these cords that's hard to hide because where it does plug in the back of the village, they're up in the middle of it. So that's where I try to put like some trees or something to kind of, you know, disguise all that. So that's pretty much the same thing, all 3 rows, doing that, and then I'll come back and show you once I have everything finished. Okay, here it is finished, and I'm loving the way it turned out. When I do my overall room tour, I will slow down and do a little bit better job showing everything then. But this gives you an overall view of how I've done it. One thing that I'm wanting to try to do is this greenhouse. See, it has lights in it, but it's battery operated and they don't have a timer. So I'm going to see if there's a way that I can pop this piece loose and then just go inside and glue some of the battery operated lights, you know, the little small ones that are on like a copper wire. Just kind of glue them all around on the inside and then have the wire come out and have the battery pack just tucked under somewhere. That would allow me to have it on a timer, because that gets kind of frustrating picking it up every time because you start messing up the snow and all that. So I'd rather have it to where I could turn it off. And then all of these are controlled with a remote control. I used to use the smart plugs and use my Alexa to control everything, but every time it loses its signal, you have to press the button on the plug to reset it, and it's behind this hutch. So once it does that and it goes out, I can't move it without something falling and breaking. So I just changed over to old school type of plugs and remotes, and that's the way I'm going to keep it. But that is the way that is looking. Let me turn the lights out and let you see it in the dark. All right, here is what it looks like with the lights out. So pretty. I love some of them that have where you can see inside the buildings. Like this one is like a store and you see the stuff inside it. The church, you've seen someone sitting in the church. And then down in here, you got people sitting and eating, and the ice cream shop, the post office, people inside. This one is a new one for me, this church, and I love it because it looks like a church we have locally. It's very pretty. And then the family decorating the tree. I just love Christmas villages. And I know there are some people that are very, very fancy with theirs, and they have, you know, like the whole village fixed out, a whole room. But I have found that this is the perfect spot for me to get that look of the Christmas villages without taking up half of a room, you know, on the ground doing it. And as you could see, it was fairly simple, you know, just using those lights on the string all on one plug is a lifesaver instead of having, you know, that many plug-ins. And then, you know, having the one spot that I can plug them in on this shelf works. But even if you weren't doing on a shelf, if you were just sitting these out, if you have a way that you could plug them all in like that on one string, it would be a lot easier than having that many cords running to plugs. I mean, it gets crazy. But I hope y'all found some tips of doing these, and you will create some of your own. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope y'all have a very blessed day, and just keep an eye out on all the other videos that I'm going to be having for my Christmas series. Bye.